Welcome to Being with Brandi Ray, the podcast. I'm super excited to be launching this podcast today, not only because it's something that I have been quietly preparing to do for a while, but also because today is my 42nd birthday. And I thought, what better time to put something new out into the world than my birthday? Because one of the things that I have started to look at my birthday as, it's a reminder that it's another opportunity for me to leave something in this world that can outlive me. And so on last year, I had the honor of dropping my 40 days and 40 nights, the devotional. And so if you are someone who has gotten a copy of that, I thank you for over the last year, all of those who have purchased available on Amazon. I think it's amazing. It's something that I'm really proud of. And it's one of the things that was set this into motion, that I want to begin to do things that even when I'm gone, it will still be able to have an impact on the life that I lived. And so here we are, 42nd birthday. We are launching this podcast. Being with Brandi Ray is going to be conversations where I focus on some of the three things that are most important to me. And to me, I have really began to lean into identity, mindset, and well-being. And so with this podcast, you can expect some solo episodes where I'll hop on and I'll just have a conversation with you all. There will also be some interview style episodes where I'm really excited to bring in some amazing people that from the outside looking in, we may admire, we may successful, but we're going to turn the page of the book. We say don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes that's all we have to go off of. But in this podcast, I'm going to be interviewing people and we're going to dive a little deeper into their lives and what it takes to be them. What have they had to sacrifice? What have they had to overcome? And I want to have these conversations because I want to make it obvious to each and every listener that the success that you see others achieve is achievable for you as well. You just have to be willing to go the extra mile to achieve it. And so I have spent, the last few years of my life really getting more acquainted with who I am. And so this episode is going to be being Brandi. And like I said, it's going to be solo this time, but I'm also going to have it in somewhat of an interview style. So I have a few questions written down and I'm going to dive into those. But I want to thank you all for joining me on my birthday as I drop this podcast. If you have not, feel free to shoot me a message, send me a DM, leave a comment wishing me a happy birthday. But if you want to do something special for me for my birthday, if you see right there, there's an opportunity for you to like this episode. You can also subscribe so that each time a new episode comes out, you'll get notified. And if you enjoy this conversation at the very end, I would ask that you would share it with a friend. If something comes up that you feel like could be beneficial to someone in your life, feel free to share this episode because I want to make sure that it reaches those that it is meant to reach so that they can gain whatever encouragement or wisdom that comes from this conversation. And so, once again, I'm excited. Today's just a great day, just because it is, but also because it is my birthday. And so, let's dive into this conversation. I'm not going to be long because the talk that I will be giving in a couple of hours. And so, just today is an exciting day filled with all of the things that I love. I'm doing this podcast episode, and then I'm going to hop on a presentation where we're going to be talking about well-being. And so, as I said, that's one of the main pillars of my life right now. And so, being Brandi, let's talk about what it takes to be. As I step into 42, let's see. We are going to start out talking about identity. And the question that I want to answer for you all when it comes to identity is, who are you becoming and what did it cost you to become her? And if I'm honest, as I step into 42, I'm becoming more of who I was created to be. And so with that, I mean, I have had to release some of the old ways of thinking. I have had to do some unbecoming because one of the things that I realized about my old way of being is that I did a lot of sacrificing. And it's not to say that we are not meant to self-sacrifice, but we have to make sure that we don't self-sacrifice to our own detriment. What that looked like for me, that looked like overextending myself. That looked like saying yes in moments where I knew in my heart that I should have said no to things. That meant pushing myself beyond my limits for the sake of not disappointing other people. But what I found is many times that I would do these things, I would end up disappointed. And so, who am I becoming, and what is it costing me to become her? I'm becoming more self. I'm becoming more self focused when it comes to my own personal well being. One of the things that I share to audiences often is that our well being is our own responsibility. And when I look at the message that I get to share on stages and in corporations right now, my number one focus has been being overdoing. And what I lean into that to mean is that we cannot create a life, build a life where we are doing all of the things, but we're not fulfilled. So many people are in pursuit of success and they're doing it to their own detriment, or they're overextending themselves to others and they're finding themselves depleted. And I've been there, I've done that. And so, who I'm becoming is someone who does not just do things, but I truly maintain my well being in the process of it. So, it's not to say that I don't still show up for people, but before I show up for others, I show up for me. Before I pour into others, I make sure that I'm filled. And so that is who I'm becoming. I'm not changing who, but I'm making sure that I'm being her in a sustainable way. And so that is one of the key components to my identity currently as I step into this year 42 of life. And I think for women, especially as mothers, as wives, as, people in ministry, a lot of times we will pour until we're empty. And let me tell you what I figured out is if you continue to live your life this way, you will find yourself resenting the people that you're pouring into, as if it's their fault that you're pouring more than you have to give. Our well-being is our responsibility, and so that means you have to know your limits, you have to set your boundaries, and when others don't acknowledge your limits or honor your boundaries, guess who has to? You got it. It's you. And so, as I am being Brandi here at the age of 42, I have started to acknowledge the fact that no one else is responsible for setting the limits that I need in my life. No one else is responsible for building the barriers and the boundaries and then making sure that others honor them except me. And so that is a part of my identity that I am shifting into more confidently at the age of 42. One of the things that I tell several of my friends as they were stepping into 40 is that 40 comes with some audacity. You all of a sudden have audacity to hold your boundaries when you never did before. You all of a sudden have the audacity to ask for the thing that you need quietly sit back and wish someone else would speak up for you. At 42, I'm not sitting in spaces and places waiting on someone to call my name. I am confidently raising my hand. I am pitching myself. I'm putting myself out there. And in order to be able to do this and to do it well, you have to be confident in your identity. And so that is who I'm becoming. And those are a few of the things that it has taken for me to become her. The next thing that I want to talk about is well being. And well being is a conversation that I think is so necessary as so many people are experiencing burnout. As I share in different organizations and I'm sharing with corporations and just different groups of people, one common thread that I have noticed that is that a lot of people are burnt out. People are burnt out in situations that they used to thrive in. And so it's not that people no longer enjoy the things that they're doing. The problem is they're allowing themselves to push past their limits, and it's causing exhaustion, which is making them feel like they no longer enjoy the thing that they're doing. That's not the case. The truth is we still have enjoyment. It's just we are trying to do it from a place of exhaustion. And so the question that I have here to pose to the audience is, what did burnout teach you that success never could have? And what burnout taught me is that building a life that's not sustainable is not the way to go. If I had continued on the path that I was on, from the outside looking in, it may have seemed like success. To many people, I had the career of my choice, my family was well, we had accumulated nice things. And from the outside looking in, that looked successful. But doing the inner work, I come to realize that I was building on a poor foundation. I was building on a foundation that did not self prioritize. We hear it all the time when we get on a plane that we have to put our own oxygen mask on first. And no matter how many times cliche, it's actually true. We cannot build our life where we're only doing for others, but we're not making sure that we are fulfilled. That is an unsustainable life. And you can pursue success all that you want. But if you build a successful life that you are miserable in, I feel like that is the greatest failure in life. I would rather a person not achieve success than to achieve success and then realize that that was not sustainable success. The foundation of our well-being is prioritizing ourselves. And this is not to teach the world to be self-absorbed. To I think the problem that we sometimes face is we swing the pendulum too far one way or the other. You have to you don't want to be the person who does not ever consider other people. You're so self-focused that you don't show up for other people. You're so self-focused that you don't ever consider other people. But you also don't want to be the person who always considers other people and you self-sacrifice. You don't want to be the person who always considers other people. And so everyone else is happy and satisfied because you've fulfilled every one of their needs and you've met every one of their expectations, but you're left with the holding the emptiness that feels that they pour into others and not into themselves. And so that is not a sustainable life. And so what burnout taught me that success never could have is that you can have success, but you want it to be built on the right foundation. You want it to be built in a way that honors your needs, that honors your enjoyment, and that is something that is your responsibility. That is on the topic of well-being. We're going to move right on through these questions because I have a couple more. The next thing that I want to talk about is truth and alignment. And the question is, where were you out of alignment in your life and how did you know? And that goes right back to the question that I just answered about well-being. Where was I out of alignment? I was out of alignment in the way that I was showing up for others, but not for myself. How did I know? I don't know if anyone is like me that has had a car that is out of alignment. My husband says it's because I hit curbs with the tires, but that's neither here nor there. But when your car is out of alignment, it won't stay on the right path. It wants to pull to the left or it wants to pull to the right. And when your life is out of alignment, it does the same thing. You can have a path forward. You can have a destination in mind. You can be in pursuit of a thing. But when your life is out of alignment, you will start to find yourself drifting off of the path that you have set for yourself. And I noticed this in my own life because although I was going in the direction of the success that I was pursuing, I kept feeling myself being discouraged. I kept feeling the self-doubt. I kept feeling the insecurity. And those are things that were pulling me in the wrong directions because my life was out of alignment. I was building successful, the personal well-being that was required to maintain it. And so I want to encourage begin to consider your life. As I'm answering these questions for myself, I want to encourage you to start thinking on your own life and to start answering these questions for yourself. Who is it that you are trying to become? And what is it going to cost you to become that person? Are you going to have to start setting boundaries in your life? Are you going to have to start noticing your limits and making sure that you don't extend past those limits? Are you going to have to start positioning the people in your life to be able to pour into you? That's one that's really big for me, and it's still a work in progress. Allowing others to pour into me. When you are a natural pourer, sometimes position yourself for others to pour into you, because that looks like access, that looks like vulnerability, that looks like truth, being able to say when something upsets you or when something dissatisfies you. These are all of the things in your life that will get you out of alignment. And the thing about being out of alignment, you can continue in the direction, but you won't end up at the destination because you'll veer a little bit too much to the right or a little bit too much to the left to get where you're actually trying to go. So it will look like you're headed the right way, but when you get there, it won't be satisfying. And so that is the main thing that I noticed about my life is that it looked like it was going in the right direction, but it was starting to be unfulfilling. And so it was my responsibility to make the changes necessary to course correct that. And so let's move to the next section where we're going to be talking about faith and foundation. And when we get to faith and foundation, it's one of my favorites because truly my faith is one of the greatest components to everything that I've been able to. And the question that I have here is, what anchored you when everything felt uncertain? And when I first read that question, uncertain, it almost seems to pinpoint as if there's one point in my life where I faced uncertainty. But truthfully, my life has been full of uncertainty. And my faith has been the thing that has anchored me in that uncertainty. To just give you the backstory, when my mom was pregnant with me, because of her blood type and my blood type, there was a tension between the two medically. And the doctors informed her that this was not a viable pregnancy. They encouraged her to terminate. They scheduled the procedure. And because of her faith, she didn't go through with it. And so that is the beginning of uncertainty in my life, truthfully. When I was born, they told her if I survived full blood transfusion upon birth, uncertainty. They ordered the blood. I was born transfusion. All of these were my steps of faith walking in. And then when you get to my life, I experienced a lot of things in childhood. My parents divorced, school, uncertainty. How is this going to affect my growth and my well-being throughout my life? Went to court reporting school right out of high school. About a year in, I found myself pregnant, became a single mother. Uncertainty. Will I be able to finish the program? Will I be able to be a good mother? When I was in court reporting school, Philippians 4:13 was my anchor. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Because there were days that I felt like I could not complete this program. There were days that I felt so uncertain that I would be able to finish while also being a mother, while also trying to work so that I could provide for my son. My faith was the anchor that got me through those uncertain times. Even now, today I have a talk that I'm going to be presenting to the Texas Association of School Boards. There's uncertainty every time someone hands me a mic. But what keeps me going, Jeremiah 1:5, where the word says, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you and I declared you a prophet. It goes on all the way up to verse 10 to talk about how the words were placed in my mouth. And so these are scriptures that I anchor myself to when I'm getting the microphone and I'm feeling unsure on if I'm going to be able to present the way that I intended. I have to tell myself by faith that although this moment is uncertain and I don't yet know the outcome on the other side of it, that if I hold on through it, then I will get to see the success that is to come from it. And so I want to encourage you with that. Whatever it is that you are considering in life, whatever it is that you are wanting to pursue, find you some anchors. I look at an anchor like I've been on a few cruises, and when you go on a cruise ship, before they let you off the ship to explore and to make memories and to have a great day wherever you may be docked, they drop an anchor, because that anchor is what holds that refuge in place so that back, it's still there waiting for you. And so throughout your life, you're going to have some experiences. You're going to have some moments where you're called on to do things that you're unsure if you're capable of. You're going to have some moments where you have some hardships that you're uncertain if you're going to get to the other side of. You have to have an anchor. And the word of God is the greatest anchor that you can find. And once you find scriptures that speak to your very situation, it is going to anchor you in place so that you can always come back to yourself. Because that is one of the things that we want to be anchored to, is ourself. Before we were formed, we were already who we were meant to be. Same for you. And so let that be your anchor. And as you begin to discover your identity, as you begin to put on this mindset of who you are and who you were meant to be in this world, and to you don't just amass great success, but you're well in the process of it. Let faith be your anchor, because truthfully, it's the foundation of life. Everything that we build needs a solid foundation, and faith is the most solid foundation that you can build upon. Moving into the next section as we get ready to close this out, we're talking about power and purpose. And the question is, what are you no longer apologizing for at 42? And truthfully, this is hard because it takes some boldness to answer this question. What are you no longer apologizing for at this stage of your life? Truthfully, I'm no longer apologizing for being me. I'm no longer apologizing for owning my voice. I'm no longer apologizing for stepping into the things that I feel called and created to do. I'm no longer apologizing for letting my light shine. Because if you have that faith, you know you are instructed to let your light shine. Not for your own glory, but for that lasting glory that I was talking about. That once we leave this life, that the light that we shined while we were here will continue to impact generations after us. Stop apologizing for your needs when it comes to your relationships. The people who are in your life that truly care, they will appreciate the fact that you are brave enough to express the things that you need from them. For having dreams and goals, stop downplaying them, because that is being apologetic for the dreams that you have. When you water them down, that is living in apology for the hopes for your future. And this podcast, if it doesn't do anything else, I wanted to encourage and to move people closer towards all that they were created to accomplish while they have time. And in order to do that, you have to stop being apologetic about the things that you desire. You have to stop being apologetic about the things that you want to come to your life. You have to be bold enough to speak them. You have to be bold enough to step out. And I will tell you, as a person who used to stay in the background and hope someone else would find me, hope someone else would identify me as whatever it is, you have to step out for yourself. Like I said, raise your own hand in the room when you have something to add to the conversation. Mel Robbins said it best: nobody's coming to save you. You have to put yourself out there. It is your responsibility, and you cannot fault others for not seeing in you what you don't identify first in yourself. And so stop apologizing about the greatness that is in you, about the beauty in who you were created to be. If you have a beautiful singing voice and you're somewhere and they need someone to sing a song, stop waiting for someone to pick you out in the room. Raise your hand. That is your gifting. It is your responsibility to put it out into the world. If you are a writer and you want to write a book, stop waiting for someone to come and tell you you're such a great writer. No, you tell yourself you're such a great writer and start writing the book. Whatever it is that you know you were created to do, created to be, start. And when you embody it, that's what being really means. Being really means to embody all of who you are. Because doing is a byproduct of being. If you are a generous person, being generous is going to make you show generosity. If you are a kind person, truthfully, being kind is going to make you show kindness. So when I say being overdoing, instead of forcing ourselves to do things that are not in alignment with who we are, start being who you were created to be, so that the doing will come automatically. And so that's what I've stopped apologizing for. I've stopped apologizing for being Brandi. See how I did that? That's what this episode is titled. The last thing I want to do is the invitation. And that is that if someone and they're feeling disconnected from themselves, let me answer the question of where do you start? Leading up to this birthday, I have taken a break from social media. And in this day and time, I would say that is a really good place to start. Because when you're feeling disconnected from yourself, oftentimes it's because you're taking in too much of other people. And leading up to this birthday, I really wanted to get quiet with myself and with God so that I could hear his voice and my voice. Because on social media, I was taking in the voices of so many other people constantly. And so getting quiet with yourself is a really good place to start. If you are feeling disconnected, because when we talk about being who you are, you may say that's easy for you if you know who you are. But if you have never truly gotten to know you, you're always going to feel disconnected from you. And so it may not even be a reconnection. This may be the very first connection to who you are. And I encourage you to do that, to sit with yourself, to allow the thoughts to go through your head and to write them down, because don't trust, I'm 42, so I don't trust myself to remember anything. But it doesn't matter your age. There are going to be things that comes up as you are processing, as you are coming to know yourself, that you are going to want to take note of. So get you a journal and start to write out, if what would I do? If I did not have to worry about what people would think of me, what would I pursue? If I did not think that it would fail, what would I create? These are questions that you can prompt to get your brain activated so that you can begin to truly get to know who you were created to be. Because let me tell you, we are not all the same. For some people, speaking is a no-go for them. They would never want to stand in front of people. They would never want to put a camera and a microphone in front of them. And that is perfectly okay. For them, they want to feed the homeless. But every time they start thinking about it, they wonder if people are going to say, who is she? She doesn't even have enough to, do for herself. And here she is trying to. It doesn't matter what people think, because fulfillment comes from being who you were created to be. And if you want to get to the end of your life and be fulfilled versus regretful, you are going to active doing that which you were created to do. Start where you are. Yes, have a big picture plan, but start with small steps. What can you do now? One day can look like something else. This podcast, I told y'all, I don't even know what episode 2 is going to be about. But like I tell my coaching clients, make it and then make it better later. Start and then grow it later. Get started right where you are with right what you have. I don't have any fancy lighting. I don't have any fancy editors. We're not even going to edit this. I'm just going to put it out there. I have a little bitty light that I bought off of Amazon, my Yeti microphone, and my little corner in my house where I like to pray. That's where we're recording. Start with what you have right where you are, being yourself, and watch what happens when you grow what you already are. That is how you reconnect. That is how you initially connect, so that you are not building a life that is not fulfilling. And so, as I get ready to wind down this episode, there were a few things that I wanted to make sure that I share. The first one is identity. You have to know who you are to know that you are living the life that you were meant to live. So, and then have the mindset that you can accomplish whatever it is that you set out to accomplish, because your beliefs dictate your behavior. And if you don't have the mindset to believe that you can accomplish something, you're not going to act in a way that's going to make it happen. And that all has to do with mindset. So identity, you have to know who you are so you're not out here building someone else's life, doing the things that you see everyone else doing because they've made success out of it. They've made success out of it because it's who they are and it's what they're supposed to be doing. So get to know you so that you can know what it is you're supposed to be doing. Have the mindset to know that what you water will grow. And if you begin to believe it in your mind, to perceive it in your mind, then you can achieve it in your reality. And then finally, well being. I refuse to build a life that looks full and I'm left feeling empty. I don't want my life and my physical bank is full, but my relational bank is empty or my spiritual bank is empty. Those people, when they say people get to the end of their lives and like the greatest gifts and talents are buried in the cemetery, some of those people are rich, like wealthy, but emotionally, they were poor. Relationally, they were poor. And so when I talk about well being, that is what I'm talking about. Living well while being who you were created to be. And so here on Being with Brandi, the podcast, I'm just excited because y'all, I am going to bring in some guests and we are going to go deep behind the scenes on what their life truly entails and what it takes for them to remain themselves, what it takes for them to show up fully as themselves, what it takes for them to know. Like I'm sharing my perspective on what it takes for me to be me. But I'm excited to bring in some guests and we're going to talk about all that they've accomplished, but we're going to get down to the details of how you can take what they've done in their lives and attribute it to how you move in your life so that you can make sure that you are who you were meant to be with the mindset to believe that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. And you're going to be doing it from a place of fulfillment and well being. And so, thank you again for joining me on this birthday episode. I'm so excited for this day. I have some great things ahead. Excited for this next year of life. And for those of you who will get to stay with me on this journey as we continue to grow the podcast, and hit the like button, subscribe so that you'll get notified when the next episodes are coming out. I don't even know yet the flow. I don't know the rhythm. I don't know if we'll do bi-weekly, once a month. We'll see how things go. Also excited for those interview episodes. So if anything that I said today struck you or you feel like it's something that someone in your life needs to hear, make sure you share it and send it to them so that they can join in on the conversation as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on social media. My Instagram is at Brandi Ray Speaks. I'm on LinkedIn under Brandi Ray Speaks, I believe. I probably should know that. My Facebook is Brandi Killingsworth Ray. Those who know me, that's how you can find me on Facebook. And I just look forward to continuing to grow together. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you feel like you would be interested in being a guest, don't wait for me to find you. Raise your hand. Send me a message. I would be glad to have a conversation with you here on the podcast. And so until next time, don't forget to wish me a happy birthday.